You learned this lesson early. Not in words, not in explanations, but in silence. In the way a room felt when you entered it, in the pause before a response, in the tension you could sense before anything was said. You learned that love had conditions, that closeness could disappear without warning, that warmth could turn cold, suddenly, quietly, without explanation. So you adapted. You became careful. You learned to read faces like weather patterns. You learned when to speak and when to disappear. And here's the paradox no one ever told you. The thing that protected you as a child is now the thing quietly hurting you as an adult. Because when love once felt unsafe, your nervous system didn't learn how to receive it. It learned how to survive it. You may crave closeness, yet tense up when it arrives. You may want intimacy, yet feel exhausted by it. You may feel lonely, even when someone is right beside you. And the most painful part? You don't even blame anyone anymore. You blame yourself. You think you're too much, or not enough, or somehow wired wrong. But you weren't broken. You were trained. Psychology has a name for this pattern. Several, actually. But at its core, this is what happens when a child grows up in an environment where emotional safety was inconsistent or absent. Not always abusive, not always loud, often quiet, often subtle. This is emotional neglect, not what happened, but what didn't. When your feelings weren't mirrored, when comfort wasn't reliable, when love felt earned, not given. Over time, the child internalizes a belief: connection is dangerous. Love requires vigilance. This often leads to avoidant attachment, a relational blueprint where closeness triggers threat instead of relief. Your nervous system learns that dependence equals vulnerability, and vulnerability once meant pain. Another key concept here is hypervigilance. Your brain learned to stay alert, scanning tone, body language, energy shifts, because unpredictability required awareness. This isn't anxiety by choice, it's a nervous system trained by uncertainty. Neuroscientifically, this reshapes the default mode network, the brain's resting state. Instead of rest, the mind rehearses. Instead of safety, it anticipates loss. Instead of presence, it prepares for impact. And then there's parentification, emotional or psychological. When a child learns to regulate others before themselves, when they become easy, mature, low maintenance, when they suppress needs to maintain connection. All of this forms an internal schema. If I stay small, I stay safe. And that schema doesn't disappear with age. It just matures into more sophisticated forms of self-protection. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." But there is another burden rarely spoken of, the unlived self of the child. Because when love feels unsafe, authenticity becomes dangerous. So you trade it. You trade spontaneity for control. You trade honesty for harmony. You trade desire for acceptance. And no one sees the cost. This is invisible grief. Grief for the self you never got to be. Grief for needs that never learned how to speak. Grief for love that always felt conditional. You don't grieve loudly. You grieve functionally. You show up. You perform. You succeed. You hold it together. But inside, there is a quiet exhaustion, a constant background tension, a fear that if you relax, really relax, something will be taken from you. The core fear underneath all of this is simple, yet devastating. The fear of abandonment through exposure. That if you are fully seen, you will be too much or not enough and left. So even joy becomes complicated. Even rest feels undeserved. even love feels like a countdown. Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote about living questions instead of answers. But for you, the question has always been the same. How close can I get before it hurts? And that question follows you everywhere. These patterns don't disappear. They evolve. They become adult behaviors, not because something is wrong with you, but because something once worked. You might notice it in relationships. You crave depth, but pull away when it arrives. You choose emotionally unavailable partners because familiarity feels safer than fulfillment. You feel responsible for others' emotions, but disconnected from your own. In your career, you may overperform. You tie worth to usefulness. Rest feels like failure. You feel anxious when you're not productive because stillness once meant danger. In self-worth, love feels transactional. You believe you must earn care. You minimize your needs. You struggle to receive without guilt. With boundaries, you freeze. You sense discomfort, but don't name it. You adapt instead of assert. You confuse flexibility with self-erasure. Emotionally, regulation becomes difficult. You intellectualize feelings. You stay calm on the surface while your body holds the tension. You feel tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. And internally, your identity feels fragmented. You know who you are for others, but alone, you feel undefined, like a shapeshifter without a true form. Here's the reframe that changes everything. These are coping mechanisms, not character flaws. They are strategies your younger self created to survive emotional unpredictability. And healing doesn't begin with self-criticism. It begins with witnessing. Not gaslighting yourself, not minimizing your pain, but gently noticing, this protected me once. I don't need it anymore. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means updating the nervous system. One powerful method is inner child reparenting, learning to offer yourself what wasn't consistent, reassurance, permission, gentle presence, not forcing confidence, but practicing safety. Another is shadow work, turning toward the parts you learned to hide, the needy parts, the angry parts, the tender parts, not to fix them, but to integrate them. And most importantly, nervous system regulation. Safety is not an idea, it's a sensation. Slow breathing, grounded movement, stillness without productivity, teaching the body that connection no longer equals threat. This is where the deepest shift happens. You begin choosing softness over survival, presence over performance, truth over adaptation. And slowly, very slowly, love stops feeling like something to manage. It starts feeling like something to receive. Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." The goal is not to be fixed. The goal is to become whole, to reclaim the parts of you that learn to hide, to let love feel safe, not because it never hurts, but because you no longer abandon yourself inside it. If this story felt like it was written for you, you're not alone. And if you want to continue this work together, to explore the unseen patterns shaping your inner world, consider staying here. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in understanding. And understanding is where safety begins.